Hi, Jez. This is Helen. I hope you're well. I am just going to go through your nest scan that you did yesterday, just to sort of an overview, but the report will come to you as well, as a PDF. But I just wanted to sort of point a few things out for you. There are a number of priorities, but as I've sort of mentioned before. Please don't look at read this as like a conventional, say like an MRI scan or CT scan, like that. This is where we see a lot of priorities. It's not indicating that of any form of diagnosis or of a condition. What we're looking at is how the body is able to process and communicate effectively. So when we have things happen in our lives, primarily shocks and traumas. I know that sort of my deep condolences, to you and your family at this time. But when something like that happens in our lives, it can create a shock and trauma, and that can sit in the body's energy system for a long time. And what it can do, it can start to manifest as physical. So quite often when someone's had a sudden bereavement, some form of accident, loss of a loved one, all of these things, it puts pressure on the communication network in the body. So this is what we're looking at. So when we look at this first screen, which is the energy source screen, this is really showing us how well your body is able to is getting its energy that it needs at the moment to sort of power up and to be able to sort of work at a more optimal level. Okay, so this we've got areas coming up around hydration, and most of us could probably drink a little bit more water if we put our mind to it. And just make sure it's good quality water. It's more just challenging this time of year, especially with it being so cold. So perhaps some nice warm some warm teas, especially when you're not feeling very well at the moment. Movement and oxygenation, those two would go hand in hand. So the body needs movement, in order to oxygenate the blood, which then obviously gives us energy. So that's a sort of an area at the moment. Challenging when you're not feeling very well, I appreciate that. But even just a little bit of movement, periodically throughout the day can help to embark on that repair process. Okay, so that's your energy source screen. When we look at the energy strength screen, something I forgot to say to you is that there's two priority patterns that were coming up in your scan. One of them is the nervous system. Actually, sorry, there's three. So one is the nervous system, which seems to be needing some support right now. Another one is blood sugar. Okay, and blood sugar. It's not suggesting that you're eating too much sugar at the moment. It's how the body's able to metabolize that, but also the pancreas can be affected because of changes in our lives. Okay, so as in sudden shocks and traumas. Okay, and also then immunity. So we would expect to see that with people who have had having a bit of a tough time because the immune system is low. So we look at the body as being this chain, and there's some weak links in this chain. This chain is not strong. Okay, so we need to strengthen that process. So in terms of the energy strength, this is about the strength and the energy around the organs and the organ systems. For food priorities on here, we've got the pancreas. So which primarily is looking at digestion and regulating blood sugar in the body. Okay, also helps to clear infection and eliminate chronic viral conditions. Okay, so there's a link there, and then we have the bone energy coming up. This is interesting. Sarah had this one, as well, and sometimes the bone system can come up. This is looking at the musculoskeletal system. Is when we're not feeling, we're being kind of like being sort of knocked off balance. That would probably be a good way of describing it. And that it's almost like someone, sort of pulling a rug out from underneath your feet, and you just basically just being completely knocked off balance. And what that effect that could have on the body on a metaphysical level. Okay, so it's not just looking at the actual function of the of the bone tissue, okay, which primarily is looking at, you know, sort of repair, detoxification, looking at sort of calcium metabolism in the body. It's also, it's very much linked with feeling supported. Okay, so those were the energy strength screen. Energy flow, this is the information channels through the body. So this is looking at the meridian line. So this is going back to the traditional Chinese medicine. And we've got a couple of interesting ones coming up for you. So we've got the heart-lung meridian. So primarily the heart-lung meridian is looking at the interaction between the lungs and the heart. So in Chinese medicine, we look at the lungs as being, as indicating elements of grief. Okay, and then the heart is about love and joy. So when we have a conflict between the heart and the lungs, the two are not working in harmonious pattern together. Okay, also could be looking at your emotions. So this is linked very much to grief, elements of depression. And, you know, that sort of head and heart conflict, which could be going on for you right now. We've got the kidney meridian. So primarily the kidney meridian is looking at, in this situation, I've been looking at the adrenal function. So the adrenal sitting on top of your kidneys in this kind of like that sort of that fight-flight mode. Okay. We also look at the kidney energy as being as like an energy reserve, you know, and it gives us stamina. Okay, it gives us the opportunity, it gives us the ability to keep going. Okay, but when we have a shock or conflict, that can then raise the adrenaline in the body. Okay, which then gives us like it almost can give it a false element about how much energy we actually have. So you've probably heard of the term adrenal exhaustion. Okay, so this is looking at supporting the kidney meridian in the body to heal that that shock and to reignite the correct information patterns. And then we have EI10, which is what we call the circulation and heart protector. Okay, so it's primarily looking at the whole of the circulation system. It's looking at the midbrain function. So looking at the how we are able to process visual and auditory information. Okay. What I wanted to show you on a couple of these, because you'll probably sort of delve into these anyway. This is the heart-lung meridian. I want to show you the actual heart itself. So please don't be thinking, oh my goodness, look at all those priority 4s in my heart. Okay, coronary arteries, endocardium field, the right ventricle field, the myocardium field. Okay, we are not saying that you have any problem with your heart. Okay, this is purely on an energetic, emotional level. Okay, so at the moment your heart is probably over processing. Okay, because of the loss of loved ones. Okay, so I'll let you sort of read that in your own time. If we look at the mind body, so we have got a brain hologram coming up. So this brain hologram, this is where we look at the work that was done by Dr. Hammer, and it's all looking at when we have a shock or conflict in our lives, is that that shock or conflict can actually sit in different tissues and in different organs. Okay, so this priority in brain hologram is coming up for you. And again, it's not suggesting there's anything wrong with anything wrong with your brain activity or any organs in your body. But this can actually, if it's not cleared, can manifest as a physical. Okay, so it's around a shock or a trauma around attack on your integrity. Okay, ESR. So this is about how we are able to process data that's coming in. So this is like an overload of data processing. So probably things keep popping in, and it's how your body is able to actually take that information and make something tangible out of it. Okay, so it's about relieving sort of day-to-day stresses in the body, and this is something that you may be experiencing with headaches, or just not feeling, after sleeping, that you actually feel like you've actually had a sleep. Okay, so that's your ESR. This will also help to encourage more absorbency in terms of nutrition in the body. Okay, love is coming up. So this is not about, a romantic love. This is about having an open heart. This is looking at what we call the crown chakra. So this is about unconditional love, okay, for people around you and also for yourself. Okay, so it's having an open heart, being able to give and also to receive. Okay, so there's some areas around there at the moment that are being blocked in your heart field. Immunity. So yeah, there is elements of stress on your immune system. Again, we're not suggesting that that there is anything untoward with your health. It's just that your body is reacting at the moment to elements. So it's probably an overload of stress, overload of processing, and what that's done, it's weakened the body's immune system. So we're seeing areas coming up around the central nervous system, which is ET0. Okay, we're seeing areas around what we call the broad spectrum virus. Okay, and ET7, which is connected with chronic fatigue. So again, it's not saying you have chronic fatigue, but it's connected with that. So this is actually looking at patterns within the tissues. So it's almost like there's an imprint that's still in there. We've got one of the liver terrains coming up. Looking at patterns within the liver and the large intestine, and then also ET13, which is linked to fungus, and this has got a link to the pancreas as well. So the pulmonary, that sort of blood sugar regulation is also coming up in there as well. There are a number of priorities, Jez, and I will go away and look at your scan in a bit more detail and suggest nutraceuticals that can support your body's healing process at this particular time. Okay, but please don't look at this as being, oh my goodness, look at me, I'm really ill. It's not about that. We're not diagnosing condition. What we're looking to do is how we can support your body at this time, so that it can start to work in a more optimal level and you start to feel better. Okay, there will be some functions on the My Health that you can use as well, that I'll include on the report. Energy rejuve. This is primarily what we will be using on the from the My Health, that you can either do yourself or you can ask Sarah to do this for you, either on body or off body, completely up to you. And then also there's a couple of the MRs. So this one is about the calm mind, which I'll be getting you to use every day, and also what we call calcium and grains. Okay. On to environment. So this was actually not showing that as a lot of priorities, which is good. So but we are never indicating that you have these toxins in your body. They're present. They may have been there at some point. They may be there now. It may be something that's left an imprint. Okay, and it's created a pattern. Okay. So those are the home, work and personal care. We've got solvents, toxic metals, agriculture. We've got food-based toxins, mold, which often refers back to grains rather than just actual physical mold in a building, and then radiation. Okay, so those are your environmental. Then on nutrition, considering I'm seeing some absorbency issues going on, there's not a lot of elements coming up with the vitamin field. So look at minerals. We've got boron and iron. Again, we're not suggesting that you need those. Your body might benefit from supporting that right now. Fat fields, we've got cholesterol coming up, giving us an indication that that could be out of alignment. Hardly anything in the protein fields, and then into antioxidants. Okay, so there's a few elements in nutrition, but it's really more looking at how we can support your body as you're going through this healing process right now. Okay, and that's really, you know, primarily what the aim of this scan was all about. So this is your just a sort of snapshot of an overview of your scan. As I said, the report will come to you as well, and then I'll probably look at these in pharmaceuticals and add them to Sarah's account. So if you order those, then it means that you're only paying one lot of postage rather than paying double postage on 2 orders. Okay, so anything you're not sure about, please don't hesitate to drop me an email, and I'm happy to answer and respond. Okay, you take care, and I hope you guys start to feel better very, very soon.